from the iMember Media Sonoran Desert Studios. Welcome to Follow Up. Welcome back to the Sonoran Desert and your favorite Sonoran Desert resident, your host, Michael Wood Jr. We're here back on Follow Up, and I'm actually in the studio this time so we can do the From the Sonoran Desert Studios, this is Follow Up. That's cheesy. I still do it though, whatever. So no hearing Moozy in the background today or anything else. I need to get this third part finished, and I had to come hide out in the studio. I wanted to sit outside, but Tropical Storm Rosa just came through, got everything soaked, and I can't be outside quite yet because it's still the trail end raining. So here we are in the studio and going over the third part of the Joe Rogan Experience number 670. Previously, I've just been kind of critiquing myself, and I really don't think there's too much in this episode. This is so baseline and introductory onto even where I came from, I guess, or even the police brutality issue or the systemic issues that are in our government when it pertains to a lot of these institutionalized outcomes of government institutions. So, we're going to go back into this baseline shit where the conversation must be devolving or something, because we're talking about the weather differences between the East Coast and the West Coast, and how everything's great in sunny Southern California and muggy and shitty on the East. So I'm not sure where this is going. It's been so long. I have no idea what any of these conversations are really about anymore. But to remind everyone, if for some reason you're just jumping in on a third part, that the whole goal of this is to try and have a lighter approach, trying to take down some of my walls, fight these issues, critique myself, because I can't find anybody to really deal with it. I would love to have some one-on-one, in-depth conversations about the ideas. It's just not the time for that, man. We're just caught up in the victim Olympics and virtue signaling and Trump derangement syndrome and the second McCarthy era, the Russians. So let's find a way to be a little bit lighthearted, have a little bit more fun, not try to be perfect all the time, because that's a mistake. I mean, I don't know if there's real mistakes that are possible in this situation, but it's a mistake I've been making, I think, at least for my own satisfaction of who I am, and I hope it's like that for others out there, man. Until you challenge yourself, you're just not going to get anywhere in actual progress. You could be deluding yourself. And who the hell are you to even challenge someone else's ideas if you haven't challenged your own? So if no one's going to challenge me, or no, shit, plenty of people will challenge me. If nobody will challenge my ideas and the work that has been done, well then we'll go ahead and we'll do it ourselves. See if anybody ever actually listens, which is super unlikely. So let's go. Let's get back into this. Let's listen to Joe tell us about the weather.
Walking around in shorts, flip-flops, T-shirt, 90.
It's beautiful.
January, convertible.
It's 75 today.
75, it's nice.
It's July.
I know, it's a nice day today. It was 60 this morning when I woke up. I had to get up early. It was 60. 6-0.
Yeah, it doesn't happen for us.
No.
Right now it's brutally hot.
Yeah, well, you guys get that swampy hot, too.
Nasty.
Yeah, that East Coast hot is a different kind of hot. Like Miami,
At
you don't
least
even
this
know
bitch
what
was
hot
backed
is
up
until you
by,
experience
you know,
Miami in August. You might as well be
we
in
are
Africa.
in the
You're in the
Sonoran
goddamn
Desert
jungle.
Studios now,
You know?
not the
You want to hear a funny car chase
East
story?
Coast.
I want to hear all your funny car chase stories.
No.
Okay, how many you
car
got?
chase story.
3.
You could probably tell this one so much better.
Okay.
Advertisements about the play. I'm going to pause this for a second so you have to listen to it.
Oh,
Okay.
my first car chase.
Is this is how far after the guy having some other dude's pants on?
About a year.
A year. So you're in.
So I have a partner. Usually don't have partners in Baltimore. I had a partner on this particular day.
Really?
Yeah, you ride by yourself.
Still
What?
love that dude. One of the
What is that, to
best
save
genuine
money?
people I've ever
I think more of
Looks
an
like Sammy
omnipresence
Davis Jr.
idea.
Oh, the more people, the
Right.
more cops, more cars.
It doesn't really work. I think.
You ever jerk off in your car?
No.
No? All right.
Try to
Just
slip
asking.
one on me there real quick.
Just asking.
Not
I
falling
would.
for it. Yeah.
I get bored.
dirty try that. You see how quickly I answered though?
So I have this
the
partner.
truth.
He looks like Sammy Davis Jr.
Fucking gross.
Jesus
Great
Christ.
guy. Great guy. We would go to calls.
Did you call him Sammy Davis Jr.?
I mean, maybe sometimes joking. He was.
Were you guys the
Other
Rat
people
Pack?
did. He looked that bad.
You're kind of a Sinatra when he was younger.
Oh
You ever
gosh.
see Sinatra when he got
But
arrested?
nobody else thought of that. No.
Hold on a second.
No.
Pull up the Sinatra's mugshot. He was a tiny dude. You know, Sinatra only
Just
weighed like
call me a tiny dude.
125 pounds. No, not you. You're handsome like Sinatra.
You're muscular and big. I get it, but
But you're not tiny. You're an average guy. But I'm saying Sinatra was like 130 pounds. He was like a tiny dude. Look at that. Come on, dude. You're a little better looking than him, I'm gonna be honest.
It is kind of there. I see it.
What is where's his what they arrested him for? Because there was like a little card that had the there's a thing below it. There was I used to have it on my wall at home actually. It's not that one, but he was arrested and it had his height and weight.
what, for carrying on with a married woman?
Yeah, it was called seduction. That's what he got arrested for. But that's not the. There was actual real piece of paper from the arrest that you could see. They had it like handwritten and everything what he was arrested for. See if we can find it. But it had his height and weight, and I'm pretty sure he was 130 pounds, and he was like 5'6" or 5'7". He's like a tiny little dude, which I never would have thought. I thought Frank Sinatra would be like, it's just larger than life, you know.
I mean, like Tom Cruise kind of thing.
No, I think Tom Cruise is probably not
About our
as short
size.
as everybody
About
says.
5'8", right?
Yeah, I mean, he might be a little shorter, like 5'7", maybe. But everybody says he's like 5'2". But people are just mean.
Well, Kareem, my partner, he was about 5'2", 5'3".
Was he?
Little Sammy Davis Jr.
Jesus Christ!
And
And he's
he
a
would-
cop. What is he?
Yeah,
A
he was
glutton
good.
for punishment.
He was good too.
He was good.
Yeah, so good because he blended in. Like nobody noticed him.
Oh right.
And when he would,
Yeah, no one's scared of a 5'2" black guy, right?
like, we would go to places and he would be the nicest cop. I mean, he was like what you think a
Right.
cop is. That was him. He was so nice, so courteous. And I'd show up behind him and be like, "Sit down, shut the fuck up."
Oh, you're
And
a bad cop.
He would get the complaint. I wouldn't.
Because
It
he's
was
black.
unbelievably hilarious. I don't know why. It was just
he's
a running
black.
joke with us.
Right?
And,
'Cause he's black?
I can't throw that conjecture out there, but
Most likely,
First
right?
time I would have thought of that. I thought it was just they didn't
Wow.
like him or they liked me. I don't know. I never thought of it as being a racial thing. So
Everybody's trying
we're
to
going
make
down a
everything
road
about
and
race
we
all the
type a
time.
tag in a car, and it comes up, boop, 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 stolen car. I'm like, oh shit, dude, it's a fucking stolen car. What are we gonna do? You know, like, why would we be whispering? I don't know, but you start to panic. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's just get out, and I'll just yank him out of the car real quick because we're stuck in traffic.
Right.
So go out. As soon as I jump out of the car, he looks over at me, the driver of the car, and he slams down his door lock. I'm like, fuck. So I try to rip the door open, and I can't do it. So for some reason, instinctually, I pull out my gun, and I'm like, get out of the car. And he's like, no, fuck you. And it starts to turn green, and he's getting ready to go. So I take my gun, and I hit it against the window. The window doesn't break. My gun does.
Oh,
and
my
the rounds
God.
go flying on the ground, scattering
Oh,
out.
my
And this is like noon. And so everybody
no.
sees me doing this like a jackass.
What kind of gun?
A Glock 27.
Plastic.
Yeah, plastic gun.
Why'd you hit a fucking window?
I don't
with
fucking know. I
plastic?
wasn't thinking. So instinctually, luckily, I reload,
Right.
and he takes off. We run back into the car, and we're not going anywhere. I'm like, Kareem, what the fuck? Let's go. And he's like, I can't find the keys. I can't find the keys.
No.
So he gets the key. We take off. We go down the road.
What kind of car do you drive?
That was a Crown Vic at the time.
Okay. Shitbox.
Cops love Crown Vics.
Yeah, but they're
Big
stupid.
V8 in them.
big fucking goofy car,
Yeah.
shitty
It's better than
handling.
front-wheel drive Tauruses and shit they try to give us.
Front-wheel drive
Right.
Taurus.
So we
How
go
dare
down the
they.
road. The guy makes a turn. We lose him, but we kind of know his area, where he is. And I see a guy that's running. He had a blue bandana on. He was black guy, white T-shirt. So I see a guy going down the alley, blue bandana, white T-shirt. I'm like, fuck, Kareem, get out. So he gets out, and he's coming from the guy behind. I circle around with the car and come up. And I come around the corner. That guy's looking at me, and I'm like, get on the ground. And he starts getting on the ground, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, fuck, this is not the same guy. So I'm watching him, and Kareem's coming up behind him, and he's like, coming hard. I'm like, no, 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 no. Just as he's getting ready to hit him, and he pulls back as he's getting ready to slam him to the ground. I'm like, this is not him. So we leave him go. We run, and we actually find the car. So the guy bowed out. He left his cell phone in the car. So we picked up the cell phone, and we called the most recent number, and a girl answered. And we were like, hey, I'm so-and-so. I found this phone on the side of the road. Do you know who it belongs to? I'll try to get it back to him. And she's like, oh, yeah, it's so-and-so. Pull him up in the computer, and that was who had the car. So
Oh my God, what a dumb bitch. I'd be so mad at her. I'd be like, what the fuck did you tell him? Oh my God, you told him my fucking name? Oh my God.
It's all in the report and everything.
Oh, that's hilarious. Did you get the guy?
Somebody else did. So we had the warrant, and somebody else ended up catching him.
That's hilarious. That was your first car chase?
Our first car chase.
Why don't they give you guys like Mustangs or something fast?
Ooh, I think that would be a bad idea.
Why? You're in car chases.
We're not very responsible.
Is that what it is?
The law, we're not trained to drive like that. The law.
What? Wait a minute. Hold the fuck on. They don't train you how to drive?
Not high speed, no.
What?
No.
They let you drive high-speed chases. They
No,
don't
you're
train
breaking
you
the
how to
rules.
drive?
You're breaking the rules to do a high-speed chase. In Baltimore, you can't do more than 10 miles an hour. In Maryland, you can't do more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit according to the rules. So the law says you can do it, but the rules of the agency say you can only do 10 miles an hour over. So every cop that pulls you over and you're doing more than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, he had to violate general orders to even pull you over.
What?
That's the rules. I didn't make them.
Okay. So the department lets you do high-speed chases.
They don't like it, no.
But so who lets you do it? You said
Well, you do
someone
it until
lets.
someone tells you no.
Not many people
Okay.
still not know this.
But they don't. No one teaches you how to drive.
We go to a course, and they kind of do it,
Everybody
but the
should be using
standards
this
are
defense and
incredibly
speeding
low.
ticket.
And you don't go very fast.
So the standards for driving, are they more or less stringent than the standards for self-defense?
I don't think there's a standard in either. So
That is so fucking crazy.
right, if you couldn't defend yourself going in, you're not going to be able to defend yourself coming out. If you couldn't drive going in, you're not going to drive coming out. If you couldn't shoot going in, you're not going to shoot coming out. One of the scariest things is
still think it's
cops'
true.
ability to fire a weapon. They're terrible.
enough time.
They're terrible. So I would estimate that maybe
You don't have to be accurate or anything?
no, it's absurd. Like they can't shoot. So like when you hear somebody like, why didn't you shoot him in the knee? For one, you can't do that. That's a silly idea. But
Why can't you?
okay, so if I'm shooting, for one, I'm shooting at your knee. I'm shooting down, so I'm liable to ricochet because I'm going to miss.
Right.
You're going to be a moving target.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to shoot an animal. So imagine shooting a human in such a tiny area that's trying
Especially
to
with
move.
a
or something.
handgun.
Right. You can't do it. It's
Yeah.
a silly idea. That's why you shoot center mass.
Right.
People criticize that, but it's really the only practical way to do it. But
It's the only
these
way to
guys,
shoot animals too.
yeah,
Nobody
you gotta-
very rarely shoot
you're not gonna
animals
try, I
in
mean,
the head.
imagine that. Even if he was standing there,
Yeah.
imagine trying to take out a kneecap of a boar sitting
Yeah.
there. That's ridiculous. So hopefully one day we can all dispel that rumor about shooting a weapon at me. Like somebody would be like, "Why don't you shoot the knife out of his hand?" Like, are you kidding me?
Oh, that's hilarious.
But
All the time.
they don't shoot. They couldn't shoot a person, let alone a knee.
Right.
Like, I mean, the minimum score is like a 70, and it's a silly.
All right, so I know this is all interesting. I'm probably stopping at a terrible spot, but I wanted to, before we got too far off from this, I had written a nonfiction book, or no, wait, fiction book, about essentially a Punisher style type of cop set in Baltimore. Ideal just being that it would be procedural, written in a way that it's entirely plausible. Like everything that takes place would be realistic and could happen in real life. But in writing that book, I did a section that was just pretty much truth. I don't think anything's even altered from this. Talking about that car chase I just talked to with Joe. And I thought it would be worth it to pull it up. Let's go over and read it in real time, pulling out of that. This is on the book Elliot that I wrote. And you can feel free to get it off Amazon. It's sitting up there from our website, IrememberMedia.com. And you can entertain yourself with that craziness if you want. I feel like I couldn't write very well then yet. But maybe I think the story's decent. I mean, what the hell? I mean, I guess I wouldn't. If I didn't think it was decent, I wouldn't have written it. But I'm definitely not a writer. I've never been trained in writing. My training is in management and policing and the Marine Corps. So, I don't know. We shouldn't expect me to be a prolific writer, should we? Let's go ahead and read. This is out of, I don't know what chapter number this is, but starting at page 122 on Elliot. This chapter is called Banging the Trappers. Some people may know what that means. I'm not giving it all away. Words like that are how I know, even if you remotely know the streets at all. That's still, you can get that from a rap song, I imagine. All right. Kareem was one of my favorite partners ever. It was a different time then, and I was a different person. A happy person who got to run home after work and into the arms of my family, my complete family. We had so much fun just being police, and one of my favorite stories ever happened with him. It was one of those nice spring days when it was sunny, cool, and the breeze is blowing. One of those days when a person is happy to be outside and not cramped up in a cubicle with some formal high school nerd of a boss exercising their newfound power over you. The windows were down, and I was riding shotgun with Kareem, who was even more of a rookie than I was. Kareem was a fun cop to work with, a great person who worked hard. Working with him was perfect. We had that type of relationship that you can envision having with a partner when you are applying to be a police, when you are excited about the prospect that you will actually be making some sort of difference. I used to get a voyeuristic thrill out of riding around running the tags of the cars that were around me. I was fast with the computer and ran as many as I could. We were stopped at a red light of a relatively busy city road with a line of cars in front of us when I typed in the tag of a minivan stopped next to us. Beep, beep, beep. The screen flashed red, alerting me of a stolen auto hit. The first hit I ever got. The adrenaline rushed, but what now? What the hell do I do now? I looked at Kareem and said, "Holy shit, dude, the van next to us is stolen." "The blue one on the right there," Kareem said as he looked to the minivan. "Fuck, dude, don't give it up." "What do you want to do?" "I don't fucking know. What do you want to do? Fuck it, let's just get out and get him." Too new to actually think about it, stay calm, radio other officers, and come up with a plan, we jumped out of the car. Kareem ran around to the side of the car as I made eye contact with the driver and pulled the driver's side door handle off the minivan. Just as the driver slammed the door lock and the traffic light turned green, and the traffic began to move. At least 10 cars were behind our police car and the stolen van, watching as I pulled out my gun and in that moment of blind, unintelligent instinct, struck the butt of the gun against the window. I think that I actually heard each of the 13 bullet cartridges that were in the magazine, were being the key word, as they bounced off the pavement at my feet. The traffic moved and the driver put the minivan in drive and sped away as I glanced at Kareem and back at the traffic that was watching my Keystone Cops edition. I still don't remember doing it, but somewhere in there my Marine Corps training had actually worked, and through basic muscle memory, I discarded the broken magazine and loaded a fresh one that actually had ammunition in it. We jumped back in the car as I kept an eye on the minivan and watched as the driver made some impressive feats of speed, for a minivan anyway. I waited to be in pursuit for what felt like forever when I finally looked at Kareem as he was searching all over the car. His body was quite confused look on his face. What the fuck, bro? Let's go. I can't find the keys, Kareem said. You gotta be kidding me, I said, as Kareem finally found the keys and the chase was on. The minivan ascended the on-ramp to the highway. From the on-ramp, the stolen minivan was in great position to elude us. There were 3 different routes that he could quickly take as we lost sight of him. We finally got on the radio and called out the chase, conveniently leaving out any details of what transpired during the last few minutes. Initially, I thought that we would see the minivan in the distance tearing up the highway, but as we crested the on-ramp to where I could see, it was not there. So we took the exit back into the city. The minivan was nowhere to be seen. We cruised the area assuming that the driver bailed out somewhere and was probably on foot. The driver was a black guy. It is Baltimore after all. Appeared in his 30s, dark-skinned, white t-shirt, and wearing a blue bandana in his head. As we passed an alley, walking away from us was a black guy, appearing in his 30s, dark-skinned, white t-shirt, wearing a blue bandana. Stop, there's that bitch right there. Let me out. I'll run to the other side of the alley. Give me a few minutes and come from behind in case he doubles back, I told Kareem. I went in front of the houses and ran as fast as I could. When I got to the end of the street, he wasn't there. He had to be in the alley still. No witnesses around. This is going to be fun. I walked to the mouth of the alley, and there he was just a few feet from me. For some reason, I guess it was the rush of the chase and fear of not catching the guy, instead of slamming the guy onto the ground, I drew my weapon, which turned out to be a stroke of luck, and ordered, "Get on the fucking ground." It was in that very moment of speaking that things began to not feel right. The guy had a true look of surprise, and for a guy who was just willing to steal a car and lead us on a high-speed chase, was surprisingly compliant. He immediately dropped to his knees and put his hands behind his head. I did not say another word as my brain tried to make sense of this dude's demeanor. I looked past the guy, and as my attention was drawn to the quick movement behind him, Kareem was barreling down hard with his nightstick drawn back, ready to issue the old, "Make us fucking chase you," police beatdown. It finally processed. Despite the overwhelming coincidence, this was not the dude that stole the minivan. The guy heard the footsteps behind him and turned to see. Fear flashed on his face because he knew where that nightstick was about to end up. No, Kareem, it's not him." A fraction of a second later, we would have been trying to talk this dude into walking away or writing a long report trying to justify why this guy wasn't able to walk down the street without being introduced to the violence of our ineptitude. After a quick apology, we walked back to the car and resumed our canvass as if nothing had happened. Block after block, we checked every nook and cranny until we found it. The stolen minivan was parked on a side street, no one in it, and amazingly, it was legally parked, not even more than 12 inches from the curb. We let the other responding police know to slow down. The chase was over. We set about to notify the owners that we found their stolen car, arranged to have it towed, and began gathering the information to write the report. We did not talk much after that. Our high from the chase quickly came down after our defeat in capturing the driver. Our sergeant found us and checked in what was going on. We explained our disgrace, and I showed him how I was a magazine and 13 rounds short, which was sure to get me into some minor trouble. Calmly, the sergeant laughed and stated that he would be back. As Kareem organized all of the notifications and reports, I searched through the minivan and found a cell phone. "Hey, look what I found. Maybe it's the owners," I said to Kareem as I pressed the talk button to call the last person that called the phone. A female answered the line, and I explained that I found the phone, told her where I was, and asked who the phone belonged to. Surprisingly, the female explained to me that the phone belonged to her boyfriend, who was probably in that area, and she would call his friends to try and get him the phone back, and she even gave me the name of her boyfriend. I hung up and typed the name into the police car's computer. "Son of a bitch, check it out, Kareem," as I turned the screen so Kareem could see the prior arrest booking photo of the driver of the stolen van. The sergeant returned with a mischievous smile, handed me 2 dented-up cartridges, a broken spring, and a cracked magazine floor plate. "I recovered your property, bunk." "Nice. Well, look what we got, Sarge. At least we got the guy," I said to the sergeant, showing him the computer screen and proudly explaining what we felt like were some impressive investigating skills. We wrote one of our first arrest warrants, and before long we were in court after another unit served the warrant and arrested the driver. In the final bit of humor involving our first stolen car, I testified from the witness stand as the defense attorney attempted to throw out the identification through the computer database with the tactic that it was misidentification, because it is well known that cross-racial identification is infamously weak. Well, why don't we refer to my partner who was with me the whole time then, counselor? Officer Reed, please stand up, I said to her in the court. As Kareem stood up, I said, I think it is clear that Officer Reed is African American. He will also identify your client as the driver, and despite his cross-racialness to me, I can definitely identify him as Officer Reed. I even got a chuckle from the judge, and the driver, who was found guilty, but in typical Baltimore style, received only a suspended sentence. No jail time. So anyway, there's the snippet out of Elliot where I tell a more detailed version of that same series of events. Hell, at this point, the details are probably messed up. I don't even know which one's more accurate. I think the one in the story is the one I thought about. But anyway, I don't think there's any inconsistencies between the two stories. One was just more detailed. But it's definitely one of those instances where it would be super neat if somebody could go back in time, or even if we could find that report, see what the report said, or we don't have cameras, but if we could have cameras, see how much different reality was from my memory of it. And I wish I could get Kareem on here to see what his memory was. But anyway, moving back on the Rogan.
Silhouette target. Like
the minimum score meaning 70%?
70% on a silhouette target.
Silhouette?
Okay, so you go
just have to hit the whole silhouette?
Right, from the 3 to the 5 to the 7 to the 15. I can shoot that whole course at the 15 with my eyes closed and pass it.
Right. 15 yards, is that what it is? So 15 yards with a handgun hitting center mass on a target. All you have to do is just hit the target?
Right, and you can pass the course by doing everything from the 3 to 5 and I think the 7. It could be a little
How
further
big
back.
is this target?
It's a human silhouette, so I mean it's
a full silhouette down to the toes?
From waist up here.
Oh, waist up, okay.
Right here.
So you're dealing with like a 2.5 foot, 3 foot target?
Yeah, it's almost impossible to miss. and
all you have to do is get 70% and you pass?
Yeah.
So you miss 30% at 15 yards, a giant fucking target?
We're not even talking about 15 yards. We're talking about, I mean, some of these are from 3.
Wait a minute.
So you start from the 3, you do a lot of rounds.
And they get set. Hold the fuck on. 70%?
Right, so you can actually qualify before you even go
shooting
deep.
A person.
I know.
So this isn't even adrenaline. It's not even crazy.
No, this is ideal situation, ideal circumstances.
So it should be 100%.
I know.
100, or they kill you. They should kill you. Take you back.
100. Yeah, 100 maybe get a different try. I've had 98s from time to time. But they shouldn't be there. It's staggering. People don't understand what we're talking about. When you say the job is impossible, it is completely impossible, especially with the amount of training that they have.
Oh my God. I don't understand how they don't train you how to do that. They don't train you how to use firearms correctly?
No, nobody.
Accuracy? They train you how to breathe while you're shooting?
They tell you all these things, but
they don't train you.
They don't have time. So the instructors, they know what they're doing.
Right.
But they don't have time to take somebody that has no idea what the hell they're doing, or what's even worse is somebody that has bad habits, and break those habits so they can be a decent shooter. There's no time for it, and it's not going to happen. There's no standard. So if they don't pass, they just keep shooting them and shooting and shooting and shooting until you pass. So
you just keep doing it, or you learn?
No, there's no learning. I mean, they just keep learning, and you only do it once a year.
What?
Right.
What?
Once a year. No practice.
What the fuck are you talking about?
No practice once a year.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
This is so
right. That's what I'm saying. I couldn't do this job without the Marine Corps.
Oh my God.
So the only reason I was any good.
But how many guys were in the service that you worked with?
Maybe 20%.
So 80%
Well, our famous
have no
Wayne
experience.
Couldn't hit the
also
broadside of a barn.
Marine.
Oh my
And then
God.
let's look up the Gun Trace Task Force corruption case.
So these people are in this situation where they have these expectations, and that's why they feel so cornered. So they're actually feeling like somebody's judging them. And it's not so much that they're judging them, they're judging the ineptitude to do the job.
It's a Will Ferrell movie.
You could
Seth
do it. I mean,
Rogen,
that's what
Will
it feels
Ferrell
like. That's
movie
why I
about
say,
cops.
yeah, I say about the banter. I mean, that's really, it seems that way a lot.
God damn it, I can't believe that. Why don't I know that? I should have known that. I got to get John McCarthy on. He's the next guest. You know Big John McCarthy? I got to get him on soon. You got to tell he's got some great stories about pulling over Eddie Murphy.
Oh, no.
I'm an Eddie Murphy fan. I will only speak with him about him with respect. And Charlie Murphy.
Okay.
Anyway, so no self-defense training?
What is there is just pointless.
You don't have to have like a certain degree of proficiency in hand-to-hand combat?
No, they do like wrist locks and carries and stuff like that. But,
wrist locks?
Yeah, these are things that in a real scenario we can't do. So
you got to be a bad motherfucker.
We can do
to pull
a
off
drill.
wrist lock.
Yeah, you can do a drill and put me to the ground with my wrist. But in real life, you're never getting my wrist.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen if I'm fighting for my life or I'm trying to get away. It's just not going to happen. So the things we do are impractical.
Well, Steven Seagal could get you to the ground if you got a hold of your wrist.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him demonstrate?
I don't. Yeah,
Did you see the most recent one in Russia?
I'm afraid so.
Flipped a bunch of people around.
I'm sure
his hair didn't move once.
Serious.
That hair helmet he's got.
Is he still nicely overweight?
Oh, yeah, he's beautiful. Beautiful fucking machine of hand-to-hand combat. Watch this. Take a look at this. I like the do-rag. Sweat that sweet do-rag. Look at this. See, this is what you guys need to learn. This kind of shit.
Yeah,
Why can't you do that?
This is the kind of stuff they do, and they don't factor in the fact that their suspect is going to hook you in the face with that empty left hand.
But wait a minute. Look how this guy can't do anything.
I know. It's amazing. It's almost like he practiced this before to be the victim in this situation.
Dude, no, man. I'm telling you, you got to get Steven Seagal to teach everybody. Because look at the way he just throws everybody around. They have no chance. Look, he doesn't even move. Dude, learn this. Why can't you just have him?
See,
isn't he a cop?
Yeah, I thought he was too, like a voluntary one.
Yeah, no, he was a real cop. Remember in Louisiana? Remember he was talking like he was black?
If you keep talking about this,
I think he's
transracial.
I think he's transracial. Did you ever hear him talk?
No, you're saying this now, but then there's going to be some agency that does that and thought it was a good idea.
They should.
Now it's all your fault.
They should. Look at this. This is beautiful. If you could do this, you could kick anyone's ass. They don't even let him in the UFC because he's too deadly. We've had discussions.
That's why
We've had behind closed door meetings of whether or not we should allow Steven Seagal to fight, and everyone says no. He's too deadly.
If you take Conor out, and they need him for that.
Connor's too small. He'd be in a different weight class, but Cain Velasquez would be fucked. Junior Dos Santos, what's he going to do to that, huh? What are you going to do, Fabricio Verdum, if Steven Seagal gets a hold of your wrist? Huh?
I haven't heard you.
Attacks wrists. That's a very vulnerable spot. You know? Ow! Like, pull your hand back. Ow!
So now the question is, why isn't Joe Rogan doing it?
Why don't I fight?
Yeah, why don't you teach? No, why don't you teach the cops?
Well, I don't think I'm qualified because I've never been in an armed situation with people shooting guns. I've never learned how to disarm anybody.
Hand to hand. We don't need disarm. We don't do disarm.
Well, if I could, I could give my opinions about some shit, but you should bring in legit striking coaches that teach people all the time, and then legit jiu-jitsu coaches.
Well, I think jiu-jitsu would be your route. Because it's more about control than hurting.
Well, yes, but no. Sometimes you got to hit people. Like sometimes the idea of only defending yourself by grappling. I think mixed martial arts is the best way to learn self-defense. And I mean, I'm essentially a mixed martial artist. I started out as a striker, and then when I got older, when I got into the UFC, that's when I really learned grappling. But I think if I had to choose one martial art that I would teach someone to defend themselves, it would definitely be jiu-jitsu. But as far as what I would teach police officers, you got to understand striking. Because if you don't understand striking and a guy can keep you off him and punch you in the face and you don't know how to deal with it, you got to understand the way he's moving. Like if a guy is going to jab you, there's a certain stance. If a guy's going to throw a right hand, there's tells. If you don't know those tells, you're just going to get mollywopped. You're just going to get cracked. I think you have to at least understand striking. And the only way to understand striking is to spar. You have to do some sparring. You have to definitely learn the mechanics of striking, but you also have to understand the distance. You have to understand when a guy can hit you, when he can't hit you, even if it's just defensive. Even if you don't have any intention whatsoever hitting somebody, just knowing how to get the fuck out of the way, knowing how to cover yourself up, knowing how to protect yourself. There's a lot of people out there that are grapplers that would be fucked if someone punched them in the face.
No, I think you're onto something with that, actually, like the defensive method. Because we're not going to really teach cops to strike. You're just not going to get anywhere.
The best way
but
to
yeah,
learn.
you're right. The getaway, you might actually be onto something there. That could be that's something we should be doing, because what we do is we fear things. So remember, we fear that guy can hit us. We fear that. So we should have an understanding of whether he or she would actually be capable at that range or capable in this particular situation.
Judo is good for cops too, because people most of the time are wearing clothes. And like, if you ever fought Ronda Rousey and you were wearing a fucking like a winter coat, that bitch would fuck you up. You're going flying. You're landing on your head. Carl Parisian gets a hold of you and you got like a leather jacket on, that motherfucker is gonna throw you and hit you with the earth. That's what it's like when someone slams you. They're taking the earth and hitting you with it. Boom! They're hitting you with a giant, immobile, fucking 24,000 mile in a circumference ball. That's what they're doing. The earth doesn't give. Someone slams you in the concrete, they're literally hitting you with the earth. And I think if a judo person gets a hold of you, some Jimmy Pedro character gets a hold of you and you have a winter jacket on, you're a Fucksville. You know, I think judo would be a very important thing to learn. Wrestling, very important to learn too, because if you could hold someone down, you keep someone down, you can control someone. Because I've seen situations where cops get flipped. You know, they're holding someone down in some sort of a arrest video, and they just have no idea how to control someone's body. They have no idea where to place their weight. They have no idea like how a person would move. Like a good jiu-jitsu guy gets a hold of you and puts you in side control. You don't have any jiu-jitsu training, you're not getting up. This is just it. You're stuck. I mean, you might be like really physically strong. You might be able to push him a little bit, but he's going to grab a hold of you again and repeat the process. I mean, that's what we saw in UFC 1 when Royce Gracie was fighting Chemo. What do we see? We saw this fucking enormous steroided up dude that's way stronger than Royce Gracie. And he just chaos. But eventually Royce got him. And why did he get him? He got him because he understands the technique and he understands how to grapple. I think that for one, if you only had one, I would say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But if I was going to teach something to cops, I would definitely teach them striking. The last thing you want to do is be someone who doesn't know how to strike and you get punched in the face and you're seeing stars, your eyes are watery, your legs are buckled, and you don't know what the fuck to do because you've never been there before. Someone who knows what to do, someone who's been there before, has been popped in the face before, you're going to go, uh-oh, all right, got to keep my hands up, got to move, got to move, got to move. You know, you'll instinctively have like a path that you'll go to preserve yourself. The scariest thing in the world is watching someone in a street fight and you know they don't know how to fight, and they just their neck is up in the air and they're flailing fists and you know it's coming. You know it's coming. We've all seen videos. You can go online and watch guy gets KO'd in street fight, and there's a million videos of that. I just can't believe that they don't force you guys to train, first of all, in firearms on a regular basis. I would have thought that it'd be a weekly thing. I really thought that there was like a weekly thing that you guys had to do.
You know the physical standards as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of fat cops.
There's not a physical standard whatsoever.
Well, how about chicks?
No, no standards.
They don't have to have. They don't have to at least be able to like lift their body weight up or something, or do a chin up or something like that.
You get through the academy, you're finished.
What do you have to do to get through the academy?
Whatever it is, it's pathetic and easy.
Fuck. That seems weird.
It is weird. In Baltimore, they had an issue with a fire cadet who ended up dying in training because they just didn't maintain the physical standards they needed to make.
Now, why is that? Is it hard to get people to join the police force? So you have to lower the physical standards?
Well, that's one reason why the job is impossible. Society doesn't seem to be willing. Okay, so at this point in time, not to sound too arrogant.
Too late.
Too late. Okay. So may as well go for it. I would be the prototype. Okay. I have a master's degree. I'm confident. I came from the military. If you go through my training record, you'll see it. It's all there. I would be the prototype. I'm what you're looking for. But you're not willing to pay me what it would take to get somebody like me normally to do it. So if right now, if I went into a police department, they would be offering me $42,000 a year. Really? I mean, you don't think I'm going to take a $42,000 a year job, do you? At this point in time, it's not going to happen. So they're not investing in those officers. I really think in most areas where, like in Baltimore, you have 3,000 officers, I really think you could do your job with 1,000. So you would pay those guys, you
More.
would get those guys, and you'd get the guys with the education and girls, and have those standards. And I really think that one really, really good cop can do the job of the 4 or 5 of what we have now.
How much harder is it to be a woman and be a cop?
And speaking of that fire cadet, look up the case of Baltimore fire cadet Rachel Wilson. That's who it was. Who they ended up having a $200,000 wrongful death settlement to her family. But it's a sad story, man, and it's when we sometimes, and I think it's worse now, we keep trying to fit square pegs in the round holes, not being open and honest about what certain things entail, especially when it comes to something like anybody can be a firefighter, which is just simply not true. And you're setting those people up for failure when you tell them that. But anyway, look it up. See if you can use that as a lesson going forward and something. Like most cops, the emotions felt when pinning the badge on my uniform for the first time was a source of immense pride, but also a shocking reality to the complication of performing a duty under the weight of such power and responsibility. The callousness of veterans cops and the braggadocious masculinity of the streets are immature expressions of the generations of trauma enacted on our brothers and sisters from a system oppressing us all. My internal fights with policing, whistleblowing, scholarly endeavors, reform efforts, and politics have failed in exhausting fashion.
And what I'm trying to say is that we are looking at people who are doing nothing new, and if we focus on the actions, then we can fix the things for next time. Because when you focus on people, we end up thinking we can chop the head off, they put a new person in and something will change. But if we don't focus on the methodologies and the institutions, then we will be totally missing
somebody, put them in a prison cell, do the paperwork, go back out, and do it again. So what we really need is to change the incentives and disincentives so that no matter what the role, we're still going towards that objective that actually serves you.
More occupation, more vehicles, if your answer continues to be violent, because we have to understand that everything about policing is inherently violent. I have come in there with authority and told you what you will do.
I believe one of the reasons behind my struggles is that I had not laid out a consistent and intertwined philosophy of what in the hell I was trying to say. For the philosophical foundations of crime and punishment to be ushered into the 21st century, a reimagination of our institutions is necessary. Building off the famous works of Cesar Beccaria, I construct those pathways to the Enlightenment period of justice. Free will, sanctuary cities, gun control, eyewitness testimony, incarceration, and more must all work together for a prosperous society. Learning these lessons has been a brutal journey for me, and it is unlikely to be an easy one for you, but it is one that we owe to the future, to make a safer world for our children to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Crimes and Punishments in the 21st Century by yours truly, Michael Wood, is most conveniently ordered from the Evil Empire Amazon, because we are in that 21st century after all. For the enhanced and expanded audiobook, check out Audible. In the meantime, the philosophical half of Crime and Punishments, all 40-some chapters and then some, is being presented as a free podcast from iMember Media at imembermedia.com and will be available on all major platforms and direct from the publisher. Pause the video or see the links in the notes and prepare for the challenge and adventure of self-critical thought.
Incredibly hard.
I would imagine it'd be really hard to get people's respect.
Some of them were so freaking good, though. So that's the weird line you toe. They do seem to make better detectives. As a general rule, they have an advantage in a lot of things. I think they're more empathetic, which is one of my big pushes. They're more considerate of others when it comes to a lot, and it's harder for them with fighting. But I've seen some of them hold their own just fine. Now, the hardest one was actually a flamboyantly gay cop that I know. He had the hardest time. And I love that guy.
You guys had a flamboyantly gay cop?
I love him so much.
How gay was he?
Very. He's the queen. That's how he refers to himself.
He calls himself the queen?
Yeah, he's the queen of the northern.
That's beautiful. That's what we need. Just a fucking army of roided up gay cops.
And he would fight all the time.
Really?
And you could go to battle with that dude any day, and you could trust that he would have your back. You could follow him day and night because he was tried constantly.
Wow.
And he was always good. Love that dude. Awesome cop to work with. But he constantly lived in a different world than I did. Maybe I fell into that medium frame where like I'm not too big to try and I'm not too small to try.
Right.
So I kind of got away with a lot. But he
Right.
was tried all the time.
Because he's flamboyantly gay.
Yeah.
So did he be like, license and registration?
He has the voice.
So he really say that when he pulled people over and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Where you going?
Yeah, he had a purse for a while. That
He had a purse?
Yeah. I mean, think about that though.
I love it.
Could you do it?
What, do I have a
I mean,
purse?
think about the courage.
I wear a fanny pack.
Think about that's true. I actually.
You want one?
No, I don't know. Maybe because you gave it to me. I think I do.
Scared.
But I thought about that in the airport, like you say. It's like it would be so much easier.
Perfect.
Yeah.
People are they're scared of not getting laid. That's why they don't have it. They're scared of the fashion stigma attached to it. It's bullshit.
Maybe.
It's what it is. I wear one of those motherfuckers everywhere.
I know you
People meet me and they go, dude, you really wearing a fanny pack? I'm like, that's right, bitch. That shit's real as fuck.
Something wrong with you.
Why is that a problem? But if I
It's
wear a
nothing.
backpack,
What I'm saying is that same confidence that you have was the confidence that he had.
that's because I'm married. I'm not trying to get laid.
It was admirable.
If I was struggling to try to get laid, I was like, man, it was
You
like
wouldn't do
fucking
it?
hit or miss. I was just had to be dressed perfectly. You know, that's why dudes wear cologne and shit like that and designer shoes. Why? Because they're fucking trying to tip the scales in their favor. They're not confident in their personality and their accomplishments and how they come off as a human being. You gotta wear the right clothes and the right style, and that fanny pack could fucking sink your battleship. Damn it! I had her. She could have been the one.
And it
Could
was
have been
leather,
married and
too.
had kids. I wore that fucking stupid fanny pack. I fucked my chances.
I don't know if that's why. I think you've got enough game.
That's
You
what
can do
I
it with
think.
a fanny pack.
But that's what I think. I think if a girl doesn't want to have sex with you or doesn't want to date you because you have a fanny pack, you don't want her in your life. She's too much work. That's too much work. Or you don't know how to make fun of yourself. You can't even mock the fact that you're wearing a fanny pack and then explain yourself.
You can make a good joke out
And
of
she's
it.
like, why are you wearing a fanny pack, stupid? And you're like, exactly. Anyway, he wore a purse.
Yeah, he would keep his
What
stuff
kind of
in it,
purse?
Go
Was
to
it like
work.
glittery
I
or
don't know.
anything?
It would
Was
have
it
been stylish. If
bedazzled?
he had it, it would have been stylish. I assure you, it wasn't no chump shit. I promise.
So, what was it like for him? I mean, it was
I think it was incredibly challenging for him, but they wouldn't let him arrest him. Like they would fight. Like no way. I understand I'm going to jail, but not from him. So,
Is he still on a job?
yeah, he's awesome too.
Good for him. What's his name?
I don't know.
Just give his full name, his first name.
No.
No, I just want to give a shout out to him.
Q.
All right.
You can call him Q.
Q. You keep it sexy. Keep it sexy, Q. So harder for him than women?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's incredibly hard for him. And
So you're saying that women
pull it
make
off.
better detectives? What else besides empathy? Do they have like intuition that's better?
I mean, I can't say, but they do seem to fulfill those roles very well. So there's a role for females in policing, even if you're thinking of the physical aspects. There is a need.
Right.
So how you balance that, I can't say. That would require a little more nuance, but definitely have their role.
Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Because I know you got a bunch of notes there.
It's just that one of the big things that we see is everybody keeps fighting against the Black Lives Matter thing, and it's like we're not understanding what it is. It's not that we come out with things, all lives matter. Somebody wear a shirt, all lives matter. No shit. We understand all lives matter. That's the whole point of everything we do.
Right.
And they come out and they say, police lives matter. No shit. I don't know a life that's mattered more than a police life. I don't know of a single cop that's been killed where the killer wasn't caught, which is embarrassing for our profession. Why do we always catch the ones that hurt our own? Maybe we're not trying hard enough in the other ones. And we go around and we say these things, but the police, everyone comes to their aid when something happens to them. But when somebody says Black Lives Matter, we just, But what all they're saying is that in our society, Black lives haven't mattered as much as the other lives. And that's clear when you see something like Tamir Rice. Because you know that doesn't happen to one of your kids. There's not a shot in hell that happens to my daughter or yours. No way. Whether they're a 12-year-old sitting with a BB gun in the middle of your street in front of your house, that is not going to happen because they're going to say, oh, well, you know, we're going to handle that situation. We're going to approach her. We're going to see what's really going on. And they're not going to be a hero, because a hero is the person that goes up to Tamir Rice and approaches and tries to figure it out, risks getting shot because he wants to make sure he's doing the right thing when you take away a life or take away somebody's freedom.
Well, you don't even have to go up to him. How about you just say from the comfort of your car, put down the gun?
Sure, sure. And from far away, you know, figure it out, because, but we go and we treat Black lives like they don't matter. And when you are putting that, oh yeah, all lives matter shirt on, or oh yeah, police lives matter on, you're proving that police lives don't, that Black lives aren't mattering as much to you. Otherwise, you would just fucking say yes, they do.
Right. So they're not saying that white lives don't matter.
Right. They're not saying that at all.
Black lives matter.
Yeah, bring it up. Bring it up to everyone else. That's it. Just equality. It's not a diss on anybody else. It's, we have this problem, and we have this problem. Recognize it. Let's fix it. Let's, when I say that I want to team up with DeRay, so if I took a police commissioner job, the first thing I would do is say, DeRay, please come join me, please, because I need you. I need him. He's a community leader. The idea that we don't integrate people like him into our system is ridiculous.
All right, man, let's just be straight up about this right now. I was dead wrong about this. I would like to get into more of it if DeRay would ever talk to me and have an actual recorded discussion. So, but at this point, in no way do I believe that DeRay McKesson represents the community, the fight for Black Lives Mattering, or effective police reform that actually improves society. So it goes more with a lot of the sad thing that happens when the curtain gets pulled back. Who was talking about this recently? Blair White was talking about this. So she was talking about it on YouTube somewhere, about how she got more into doing media and stuff and got behind the curtain a little bit. You start to see that how phony everybody is and how much they're really committed to building a brand or their own success, not actually doing good for the people. As I've said 100 times before, with any type of activism, your primary goal should be the elimination of your purpose. So if your paycheck depends on it and all your incentives are to keep it going, and you're just not going to actually end up fighting it, you need racism to continue the validation of your purpose. And often this is brought into their identity. So people like DeRay have this as part of who they even may even think of. I don't know what they actually think of, but have all those incentives aligned to fall in to the very things they claim to be fighting. But anyway, statement duly retracted.
Ridiculousness. He is a leader of the Black community. I need him if I'm going to run a police agency. And we should.
I apologize to the Black community. Remember, I don't think race is real, so it's a different discussion. But just for common understanding at the moment, I apologize to that. Don't know why I thought he was a leader, or why. I mean, nobody gets to speak for you, so can I retract that one too?
Should not be turning those kind of people away and making like they're some kind of instigators from out of town, is what they would call DeRay.
Instigate.
Yeah, I definitely need people who have been there all along and are committed to the community and place where they are.
That's what they call him?
Yeah, out of town instigator. That he was coming to Baltimore and he's making money and he's doing all this, and it's not.
DeRay McKesson is an out-of-town instigator. I mean, a great example is going to, what was that, Baton Rouge, went to New Orleans, protests, gets arrested, then sues the city for his unlawful arrest, violations of rights, whatever. It's not the point. The point is, but that money comes from the very people he thought he was supposed to. So now they have to pay higher taxes. They have to have less community services because services aren't getting cut from the rich white neighborhood. They're not getting cut from the neighborhoods that DeRay McKesson lives in. No, they're getting cut from the common man and the hood. The very people that's supposed to be representing, you're actually taking the fucking food and services. Never mind. I don't want to get riled up. Anyway.
Not at
Making
all what
money.
he's doing. They think he's making money doing all this, and he's simply not. Neither
Yeah,
am
he
I.
was.
I mean, we came out here on our own
Just
dime
gave
with
the
the help of
benefit
Lee.
You know who's making money?
I didn't. Every
Al Sharpton,
person I've come
CNN.
across is making
Fox
money.
News, anybody broadcasting
I mean,
it where they're going to get
with mine,
advertising
I
dollars.
With all the
And that's
people who
something that's going to get a
committed
lot of people
oppression.
watching.
They weren't.
Wow,
It certainly is.
our ratings were
Right.
up.
I went down to where Freddie Gray was, the incident happened, and where the uprising was the very next day. You couldn't have told me that there was a difference between that day and 2 weeks ago. The problem is that no one gave a shit about Gilmore Homes 2 weeks ago. But when it got on the news and you saw the CVS burning and they cycled it over and over and over again, it was one goddamn building that was burning. You just kept seeing it over and over after the fire department had already put it out.
Violence in Baltimore.
Yeah, violence in Baltimore, the riots, and
that
all
way
these
they
things.
talk, that fucking news voice.
You're on it exactly. And we do that, and then we look at that community and we're like, oh my God, why would they do that? Well, nothing ever happens without an uprising. Whatever great civil rights movement or great progress have we ever made without some kind of uprising?
How about the United States of America?
Yeah.
This came about because we got away from the fucking British. I mean, that's literally how this got started. It was an uprising. Boston Tea Party, it's a goddamn uprising.
And does anybody sit there and say, oh my God, why did they just throw their own tea into the water? That's ridiculousness. But they don't hesitate to say, why are they burning that CVS down? Well, that's the only symbolism of corporate America that they even have there, because they don't have a grocery store like you and I do. They don't have anything that we think of as normality. They live in an area that has food deserts, that doesn't have good schools, where the kids ride MTA buses to go to school, where life is, and their parents their father gets locked up because he has that dime bag and he perpetuates the cycle. But yet society keeps telling them, oh, well, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. They don't fucking have bootstraps because you took them away.
Pick yourself up by your bootstraps is such a shitty argument. It's not like everybody starts in the same spot. You know, it's not like we're all playing Monopoly and we all start from the same spot. It's stupid. That's such a terrible, terrible mentality that people have, and it's so short-sighted and so dismissive. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's just so dumb. It's such a and that's a short-sighted conservative argument. That is a conservative argument. It's just such a dumb one.
Well, the last thing I wanted to say, too, is that conservatives and right-wing people are the ones that are going to argue with me the most. But if we don't do what I'm saying, then they're going to lose their guns and their argument that they want to have. Because if we can't reel in police and they're always afraid that everyone has a gun and we have to do this war, then that means we can't live in a society that's armed and we can't police it properly.
When you just said that, a bunch of people just, what the fuck? Lose my guns.
Right.
What'd you say? First you take my flag. You take my fucking gun?
I didn't realize I said
Nah.
this then. So why
Nope.
was everybody
If you wanna
so
keep your
surprised
guns-
on the
Like Charlton
808
Heston
episode when I
said.
talked
Yeah.
about this?
You can pry my cold dead hands from it if you want my gun.
Well, if you want to keep your guns, then we need to have reform in policing.
I don't like this kind of language because people are going to
I
keep their
know.
guns. They're keeping their fucking guns.
Yeah, well, then let's reform policing.
I think that's a great idea. I don't think you need to bring guns into this.
You know,
Guns didn't do anything to anybody.
what are the cops killing people?
It's people. People are doing it.
People kill people.
People are killing people.
Right.
Guns are just sitting there looking beautiful.
How many gun deaths happened in England?
Ah, fucking English. Bunch of pussies scared to pull a trigger.
So the argument, though, that's so funny.
Imagine it turns out they all had guns. Like, I can't quite do it. I was thinking about shooting him, but it just doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right. Wouldn't be proper. Yeah. No, listen, I think you're saying some awesome things. We do have to wrap this up, but I really appreciate you coming on, and I think you express yourself very well. And I think that you're a very unique person. Your perspective is very unique. The fact that you have so much experience, and you're saying all the right things. So thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. You could catch him on Twitter, Michael A. Wood Jr. MICHA.
All right, we'll just cut it there. You cannot catch me on Twitter, just for the record. You can catch me on Instagram. That's the only thing I use these days. Yes, less yapping on there, but there's still tons of it. All right, so all in all, I don't know what you thought. You probably feel a little bit like the same as I do. I think throughout all of it, I said some things I probably should have said better, or not at all. And it just turns out that a lot of the things people warned would come back around, as they historically have. I didn't believe them, and they were right. So now I think anyone that's a critical thinker is very trapped in the culture of 2018 America. I mean, what's the line from, there's a Corey Taylor line. The one who kills the least still kills us all. So, I mean, what direction are you supposed to go into, all in all? One side's being a hell of a lot more violent than the other, I'll tell you that much. But, I mean, I don't even, these sides, these damn sides, it necessitates the othering. So, don't know how we're going to break away from these labels, but we really need to do it. We just need to be focused on actual policy points. What are your principles? When you have principles, it's okay. I feel like this remains true, you know. Yeah, I said dumb shit. I was wrong about some things, but the principle remains. I learned, and we change. That's the ideal. We learn, we change, we grow, we take in new information. And otherwise, we're just being completely dishonest. You can't just be right all the time. That's silly. My philosophy is I'm not right. Everything is a temporary placeholder until better information comes up. And what I've heard so far is not accepted. So it's like being an atheist. You know, that's just what it means. I do not believe any of your thus proposed theisms yet. So if you come up with one that's believable, you know, maybe we're talking. But so far, all the ones presented, no. And that's generally what science and any solid philosophical argument would be able to do. So anyway. What I'm going to do now real quick is go through any of these comments. Most of these seem like just making points, not like questions. But I'm going to see if there's any real quick. So I'm going to pause this, scroll the comments, and then I'll be back. Oh, better yet, I'll just scroll down and kind of like skip or something. So, Gnarly Wilderman says, when will we see the movie? We will not be seeing the movie. Not interested in making historical accounts. I'm interested in solutions, and I'm not interested in profiting off of the way that movie would want to go is doing the whole exploitation angle, the violence porn. I'm not going to do that. So I don't think anyone will be interested in that rate. Okay. Adenakman 666, keyboard internet hero, says it's not a racial thing. It's a breaking the law thing. I'm sick and tired of whiny ass liberals playing the race card. No, it's actually not a breaking the law thing. So let's give me a direct example so we can address this. There's plenty of examples, but let's give you one easy one. We all understand that Wall Street commits crimes and has drugs. Think Is the possession rate of cocaine higher in West Baltimore or on Wall Street? So studies say that you should assume it's at least equal. I think we can all confess that's not true in this case. So, crime is a measurement of where police officers look. It is not a measurement of the crime that takes place. So when the cops are stationed, like I was, in an area like West Baltimore, then you are assigned to go look for crime there. And then, so whoever lives there is where you find the crime. If they had assigned me to Wall Street, I would have found a whole bunch of people doing drugs, but they're not going to assign me there. So it's not directly a racial thing. I definitely think it's more of a class thing more than it is a race thing. But regardless, it's not a break in the law thing. I gotta say, Vamps Zero or Vampsor, whatever that is, he commented, I don't trust him. He looks like a cop. So, good post. Ides of March talks about this. Racist objects to race being a social construct. Please, people, there's so many resources out there. This is a settled issue. Race is a social construct. If you want a nice, easy source, Race, The Power of Illusion, the PBS special is very well done, very well organized on the internet. Just, and then if you want to trace the resources, this evidence continues. The DNA, the Human Genome Project has sequenced our DNA. There's no race. Just fucking stop it. The one and only says, but if he didn't hurt his shoulder and were still a cop, would he be talking about any of this? I don't think so. Yeah, most likely I agree. You're probably right. If it wasn't for getting hurt in the law, it's not even just even getting hurt. I mean, who knows? They could have moved me into a different job. Yeah, it just made me admin or something like they used to back in the day. And then, yeah, I mean, I think getting out of the agency also changed added to the equation of seeing the different perspective. So there's no reason to believe I would have even gotten to a point of understanding. So for both, as a moral indictment, you can say sure, and as a point of just the development of what actually took place. Aaron Burke says, this Marine needs to be listened to, and I hope he is protected so he can become a voice for the true community peace work. Well, that didn't happen. Who knows? The future can be different, but so far, it's not just been swing and a miss. It's all 9 innings are over. I'm not even sure if there's anyone left to go to bat. Don't look at me, lad points out another one of my errors. I was with him until I heard he was going to the Young Turks with this. If that's the sort of platform you want to try and get through to us, it's a huge fuck up because they are known liars and biased as fuck far leftists. Well, I'm going to try to use better language than that, but of course I would go back and do the interview again. I don't think that was a good interview, and I'll probably review it on here. I think it was one of my worst interviews, and it sucks that everybody sees that one. But I would definitely redo the interview and do that again, no doubt. Yeah, I guess, there's no reason why I wouldn't have gone on the platform. I want to reach other people. I want to go on different platforms. It's part of the point. But thinking that they were focused on actual reform and being of the people was a huge mistake, for sure. All right, last thing I remember, we were talking about TYT, and I will just, I had to go get my daughter, by the way. It's amazing, weird. That's what happened. But anyway, yeah, screwed me over quite a bit. And, I would have done a lot better things if I would have trusted Jake and pretty much everyone at TYT other than one person that I can think of. Other than that, yep, you're just about right. All right. So Max Cardelman says, I would love to see Ben Shapiro pick this guy's brain. Well, Max, I would love Ben Shapiro to try and do that as well. I'm sure it would be a productive conversation for both of us and, more importantly, for the audience. Usually, it's one thing important to me, it's about the audience, and you're actually having a conversation that's for the audience, not for the actual individual you're talking to. So sometimes it can be a little weird, but I hope you get that point that I mean. But so, let Ben Shapiro know. I would love to. Okay, so criticism here. Odin Aesthetics says, I'm a cop, 15 years, in an urban suburban environment consisting of ghettos. I'm not going to discredit this guy. I agree with many things he says. He obviously saw what he saw, did what he did, and now he is talking about it. I will say this. It's easy to talk about a subject, especially a very complicated, troubling aspect of society, when you are out of it and you have zero responsibility to fix it. Criticism is easy. Just as you can talk about the police, you can talk about the people from the ghettos. You can say they need to police themselves, they need to get jobs and focus on education, and fathers need to father their children. You can criticize all the issues in the hood, but guess what? You aren't living in the fucking hood. So how are you going to tell them how to make it work? It's easy to sit back and talk, and maybe, just maybe, your criticisms will be 100% accurate and relevant, but if it doesn't work for those in the trenches, your criticisms are worthless. Hyperbole talk. Well, Odin, yeah, you kind of made my case for me, but and what is my ultimate point when you say you're not from the hood, you can't tell them what to do? I'm not telling them what to do. I am looking at my side of the aspect. That's all we can do. To point at somebody else is rather skirting the issue and failing to take accountability. So when you're saying that somebody else isn't taking accountability in a situation where that's all I'm talking about is our end. So yes, we're going to talk about our end, because we can be men and we can be women, strong men that aren't so sensitive to any of this stuff and can deal with reality and put things aside in order to serve the community, because that's what we're supposed to be doing, is serving. Remember that. I don't want to be, police aren't to be, shouldn't be, the occupier. You need to integrate and understand the community and serve what they need. That's, figure out what that is and figure out how you can help instead of telling them what to do. In our structure, I mean, this is literally the people we're supposed to be serving. So the servant doesn't go up and tell the master how they can be better themselves. It's just not what we do. So G. Al, who is keyboard warrioring, but still, Baltimore, 50 years of Democratic control. From mayor to chief of police to attorney general to every single major leadership position is held by black Democrats for 50 years and counting. But the real problem must be flat-booted cop culture. BS. Mike is not profound. Conservative libertarians have had the answer for years, yet this guy continues to kiss ass to other Democrats, insular at best. G. Al. Yeah, I talk about this often, how I don't see any reason why you get from me that I think democratic control is the solution. I certainly don't. And one of the big criticisms that I have of the movement and my observation of it, I'm not necessarily, I guess, criticism of the movement as a whole, but what you're pointing out here, and trying to be a dick about it, but what is really happening is that the argument from the Black Lives Matter crowd has not even been won within the black community. So you can't, it's really hard to send somebody to go and tell white people in a white space, which is the common trope, to go, white people go to white spaces, which is what I did. I went to spaces and talked. But as you know, you can't even talk to the president now. But besides that point, I learned a different aspect. I mean, I didn't see racism myself. I found culturalism more than anything, and I tried to report back to people on the left that these arguments just aren't strong enough to win with people, and they need to have better arguments. And when I challenged them to have better arguments, of course, that's when I became more of an enemy of the left. You can't be more left than the status quo. So, I mean, you're right about certain things here, but to say anyone has the answers is wrong. I'm not kissing Democrats' ass is wrong. Yeah, I'm certainly not profound. I'll agree with that. And no, the problem isn't just the cop culture. The cop culture is a reflection of society writ large. So this is society's problem, that we think policing should be this way. I have a bunch of articles on the iMember Times page. That is medium.com/imember-times. And I get into all those details in the history of policing, why these things are this way, and what policing culture really is, which is really the culture of the rest of us. Bryce Thompson says, there is no neighborhood that is crimeless. Races don't commit crime. People do. Domestic violence is a crime. Rape is a crime. Elder abuse is a crime. Child abuse is a crime. Doing and using illegal drugs in the home or out is a crime. Shooting up dismembering family members in the house is a crime. Corporate corruption is a crime. Yeah, I agree, Bryce. Because remember, crime is a measurement of police activity, not citizens' activity. So do violations take place everywhere? Absolutely. But where it's marked down is where the police look, with the exception of homicide, of course. All right, well, that's it. I'm tired of scrolling through these things. I don't see anything else of particular note so far. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'm not sure which episode I'll do next time. I guess if I actually left this one to go do the TYT one, I guess that's better be what I should go do. Oh, my God. I'm sorry. Make you guys listen to Cenk Uygur for 45 minutes or whatever that interview is. So maybe I still think I guess that's what we should do next time. So I'm going to go cook some dinner. We got to move. Got a new house. Don't know how I'm going to deal with all that because I still have to go do another MRI on my shoulder. And that's going to be another surgery. Still back from that car crash. You just can't ever get any doctor's appointments. That is still a real world issue. Time takes forever. That's even with me being in the VA system. So thanks for listening to me babble through all of these things. And I'll put the link to the original in the show notes or somewhere on the page. And join me next time, please, if you care about this stuff. If you don't, that's all. Sorry. This has been produced by Teddy Bear Chola Productions for iMemberMedia.com.